Okay, hello everyone, Victor Momo from Excel Moments, and this is a continuation on the series where I break down formula solutions to Excel BI's LinkedIn challenges. Like I've said in previous videos, if you're not following the Excel BI LinkedIn page, you should if you want to boost your Excel formula game. Now to the challenge we have in front of us, which I think is challenge 84. I will definitely link it in the description and there will be a link to the workbook as well. What do we have here? It says change Pascal case to snake case. It means that starting with position 2, any uppercase letter needs to be replaced with an underscore followed by that uppercase letter. Okay, so ignoring the first character, which maybe likely will be capital, any other uppercase we see should be replaced with an underscore, and that's character itself. So here we have N will be underscore N. If you take this example, you can see there's capital I, capital P, capital C. It would all become, underscore I, underscore P, underscore C. Okay, so there are a lot of elegant solutions to this, on the LinkedIn page, and I always like to review them because you always learn 18 or two. No, I think more than 18 or two, you get to learn a lot, from those solutions. But I've decided to demonstrate one which I consider, to be, quite elegant. Not the easiest one to come up with, not the easiest one to understand, but, probably, one of the most elegant you can find. All right, so the logic of this is very simple, in fact, but how you then, fuse everything together, nest all those functions, and how you also make it, dynamic and spill in such a way that you're writing one function or one formula rather that spills into, multiple cells. That's where it gets a little messy. But like I always say, before you can get a formula that spills, you must understand what's happening in the individual cells, right? If you can get what's happening in one cell, making it spill into other cells is probably not the most difficult part. So what's the logic here? I simply would go character by character and test if every of those characters are either uppercase or lowercase. I would ignore maybe character 1 and start from character 2 all the way to the end. And you can use, of course, maybe the code, the CHAR function. Okay, for example, if you say code of A, it gives you 65, right? You say code of uppercase Z, it gives you 90. All right. So this means that if you take the code of each of the characters, anyone that gives you a number between 65 and 90, that's a character you're interested in. It's an uppercase character. And if it's an uppercase character, you can just replace it with underscore and itself. That's really what it is. So it's kind of like break it apart into individual elements, like V, A, R, N, test each of them using this, whether the code of that character is between 65 and 90. If it is, then replace it, change it to underscore itself, and then you bring everything back together. That's really, the logic of it. Okay, but there may be some elegant ways to go around it, but that's primarily, how you may want to solve it. Let's come here and let me kind of show you, something I've set up just to lay the proper background for the solution, I want to come up with. So what I've just tried to do here is just to pick out some of those characters. In reality, you would want to say, I would want to write A, B, C, D to Z, right? Because I know that the uppercase characters, because it's in the English language, will be somewhere between A and Z. I'm not sure what it's going to be. But what I've done manually here is to pick out, maybe all the characters here that either start the text or uppercase in between the text, just to make a point, really. So now, what I'm going to do here is I'm going to use the substitute function, right? We know that the substitute function is case sensitive. That's something, maybe a lot of people may not know, but you need to know that it is case sensitive. So if you say substitute and replace capital N, is different from if you replace small letter n. So it's not going to do the same. It's not going to do both. Whichever case you give it, that's what it does. So let's start up first and see. Let's do a substitute. We can pick the entire thing thanks to dynamic arrays. And my old text, I want my old text to be, this here, right? I would want to lock it in such a way that I can move it rightwards. So that's why I have the $1. And I would say replace it with underscore and itself. Okay? You get that? So it means because it's an uppercase, yes, replace it with underscore and itself. Let's see what it gives us first. Okay? So now you can see that for the P is doing the underscore P is also doing the underscore P here. Although this one starts it, but we can always, take care of that. Okay, so now let's take this formula to, the next cell. All right. But what I want this one to reference, the previous one here. So rather than referencing, I want it to reference this so that from then on, I can just go rightwards. Okay. So take this and then let's just move this across all of them. So meaning that it's kind of layering, them on themselves. So this is when you replace, with just P, you have this. Now, by the time you come here, you replace with N, you can see you have underscore N. The underscore P is still there, right? By the time you come here, it adds a C on top. You can see now we have an underscore C. The underscore P and underscore N are still there. So it keeps going like that. So it means that by the time you are done going through all the characters, pretty much you will come up with, something that looks like this, right? Which is like the final thing you want. Okay. Of course, you can see that there's an underscore in the first position, which is good because I can easily just get rid of it, either by saying get rid of the first character or pick every other thing except the first character, whatever. But the point is that once you can go through all the possible characters, which would always be A to Z, the final thing you have here, as in is something that is a result of all the intermediate steps that you have in here. So what I mean is that this we have in column L, is a result of everything that has happened, in here. Whenever I see something like this, the first function rather that comes to my mind is the reduce function. Because what the reduce function does is that when, as in a particular, calculation is applied, it looks at everything rather than giving you all the intermediate steps, which would be in this case what we have after doing P, after doing N, after doing C, I, and so on. No, it doesn't do that. It gives you, the last step of the calculation. So whatever result you have at the last step is what the reduce always returns. If you are using the scan function, I mean the lambda helper function, scan would do what we are doing now. Scan would, show you all the intermediate calculations like, oh, when I did P, this is what I got. When I did N, this is what I got. When I did C, this is what I got. But reduce is not interested in those intermediate calculations. It just goes all the way to the end. So it means that I can technically use a reduce function here, to give me that final result. How do I get this to work? So let's start up with the reduce function and see what we get. I can get rid of all this. Okay, so I'll start with the reduce function. This is the tricky part. First, what's the initial value? This is where some people get a little confused. What we are iterating over, we are not iterating over this text here. What we are iterating over would be the characters A to Z. If you remember what I just did there just now, I was iterating over P, N, C, the capital. So I'm going to be iterating over, A to Z. So whatever you're iterating over, that's your array. So we are not iterating over this text here in that sense. So this text is not going to be our array. This text will be our initial value because this is where we start. We start with this, and then as we iterate through the characters, we then apply a transformation to this text that we have here. Okay, I hope that makes sense. This is how we start. If you remember the substitute starts with this, then it is substituting the different characters A, B, C, D, so that's really what it's looping through. So that will be our array. So what we've done here is we put this as our initial value. That's where we'll start from. The array now will just be our A to Z. How do we get A to Z? We know that we can use the CHAR function, right? If we have CHAR 65 to CHAR 90, that gives us, our A to Z. Okay, so how do we get that? We can, put the CHAR function, we'll introduce a sequence. How many characters do we have here? We are trying to create A to Z. So we know there are 26 of them. And then we start from number 65 because character 65 is A, and then character 90, which is 65 plus 26 minus 1 is Z. Let's see. Let's just evaluate this so everybody can see this using F9. Okay, so do you see? So that's what we really need, right? And this is what is going to be iterating over. Okay, so that's our array. Then now we can do our lambda. We need two variables. The first variable is typically what is called the accumulator. The second variable is what I typically may want to call the iterator, because that's the value that actually goes from character to character and then performing whatever calculation you want. Okay, so now that we have this here, we can now go into the calculation part. So we have, A to Z. The accumulator always starts its initial value. The accumulator starts up with this initial value. So it means that the accumulator's first value will be A2 to A8, then it will keep changing as you do the calculations. Okay, so now what's the calculation we are doing? It's still similar to what we had previously. We're just going to do what? A substitute. Okay, so the accumulator is more or less like, the result of every step. Okay, so that's really what you are substituting in. You notice how we did it sequentially. After I did with P, I took that result and then I did a substitute on top of it. The new result, I did a substitute on top of it. So that's what we are actually as in substituting in, which is our accumulator. Okay. Now, the old text, what's the old text? The old text, first of all, it will start with a capital A, then it should go to a capital B, it should go to a capital C, it should go to a capital D. Those values there within this array are normally, what the iterator loops over. So what this means is that the iterator will start with the first character in this array, which will be capital A. It will perform the calculation. Then based on the result it gets, that becomes, what the accumulator picks up. Then it goes again. By this time now, the iterator is now going through the second element in the array, which will be B. Then it will go again, C, D, and so on. And the accumulator will keep changing based on, the result of this calculation. So our old text in this case is the iterator. So iterator, think about iterator here as having the value, for example, first one, capital A. Now, what do you want to replace capital A with? You want to replace capital A with underscore capital A. So it means you want to replace it with underscore, and the iterator, because the iterator already contains that value. So once you have that, that's pretty much it. You close the substitute, you close the lambda, you close the reduce, and let's see if this works. Okay, excellent. You can see that it's giving us in just one step everything we need. The only thing that is out of place here is the first underscore. Okay, and many ways to handle that. You can just say, for example, somebody else will say, I pick, maybe using the mid function. You can say mid, here, and you pick from character 2. And somebody could put something as large as 100, so that, it goes all the way to the end. You have what you want. Somebody else would start doing the right thingy and say right length of this byte. Yeah, you could also use the replace function. I say replace in this text, you start up with, what's it called? Number. You start up with number 1 and you're replacing just one character and you're replacing it with nothing. Okay, so that's like saying starting from the left, pick one character which will be the underscore, replace it with nothing, close brackets, and then you have that. I think you probably can also use the substitute function itself and replace the underscore with nothing, but you would have to put in the instance number. So you can say substitute in this text and you say I'm replacing underscore and replacing it with nothing, but here I'll have to put the instance number 1, because I only wanted to replace the first one. Let's see if that works. Okay, so many ways to skin a cat, but the primary thing here is the reduce. Once you can get the reduce, to work, then you're fine. However you choose to get rid of the first underscore, is really, up to you. So what I say about the reduce is this: once you see a situation where the final result is more or less like you have, a couple of intermediate steps, and what you're interested in is that final step, then it means that you can use the reduce function. The reduce function just helps you pick that last value after all the iterations are done. If you are using the scan, then scan is like showing you, oh, this is how I progressed. I started with A, this is the result, this is B's result, this is C's result, and then all the way to Z. But now, reduce just says, okay, well, I'm not interested in all those intermediate steps. Just give me, the last one. That's how it works. In a short while, you will get familiar with, the accumulator and the iterator. But like I said, accumulator, first of all, starts off with the, initial value. That's its first value. Then based on the calculation, it keeps updating itself. Whereas the iterator is essentially, like you would write maybe in VBA for I equals to, 1 to 10, or for each X in this. That's kind of what your iterator is. Your iterator is looping through every of the elements within the array. So the first time it goes, the iterator will pick up the first value in that array. When the calculation is done, then the accumulator's value, of course, will change based on, that iterator value. Iterator will go now and pick the second value. Perform the same calculation, accumulator will then change. Iterator will go again, pick the third value until it is done iterating through all the elements, and that's it. I definitely will do a video, on the reduce function, to kind of make it make sense. I know I've explained it in one or two videos, so here I just decided not to just show the reduce in its normal working state, but just to go ahead and use it to solve the problem. So it's one of those not too simple ones, but please review, ask me questions, and I'll be more than glad to explain again. All right, so if you like this video, please hit the like button. You can also subscribe to the channel Excel Moments. For now, I'm out.